At the next commissioners meeting, it's on the agenda. Sheriff's. Body cam footage.
That's what we start doing.
that goes above that will end up being 100% on the county's dime. So what we're doing is, rather than putting it out through the NDOT letting process and doing it at prevailing wage and through the federal acquisition with all the markups associated with it, doing this as a local quote through the surveyor's office, we got a very good number. Best estimates that I've gotten from the design firm DLZ was that this would be $300,000, $400,000 plus in this bidding climate, and it wouldn't bid until March of next year. Now we're working with a local contractor and doing it for less than 110. I think 110 gives us a contingency for all the road crossings. So we're doing it for 25 cents on the dollar at the very least. So, and
It was about 200K is what it's looking like.
oh yeah, at least. So it's a wise choice. It's just a lot of work for the surveyor's office, but we're gonna run into this anyway, and we might as well do it on sale.
That's my motion.
Did you make a second on that, Jeff? Is that what I heard?
Yeah, it did.
Michael Vanager.
Aye.
Blake Hubbard.
Aye.
Jeff Stringer.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0.
Other than that, thank you very much.
Thank you. Michael? Good evening. We have two rezoning requests to bring in front of you today. We'll start off with the zoning request for BLI LLC. This is the Timber Ridge Golf Course property on 250 North. They're requesting a portion of the property there to be rezoned from Suburban 1 S1 zoning to Residential 2 for the development of a small housing subdivision on 250 North. The Plan Commission reviewed this petition at the public hearing and sent this with a unanimous do pass recommendation to the county commissioners. Is there any questions at this time in regards to the petition? I'm going to try to answer any that you would have.
Anybody in the audience want to speak to this? Let's make sure that they have an opportunity if it needs to be brought up. Is this going to be connected to the sewer line that Bluffton plans to?
Yes, that is the plan, yes.
Is there city water also being?
City water is an option for them to discuss. It does run on 250 North.
But that's not being part of the plan.
We have not seen any plans for it. This is just the beginning part, the rezoning. Then we'll follow by a major subdivision petition when that time comes. This is the first piece.
If you have any comment, feedback?
Well, I was actually at the meeting, so I listened to what was said. I mean, we need the housing. It's a great place to put it. When we talked about it, once that sewer goes through and connects in Murray, that this would be part of it. So I'm all for it.
Make that motion?
Yeah, make the motion to approve as presented by the APC.
Michael Vanover.
Aye.
Blake Hubbard.
Aye.
Jeff Stringer.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0. That's ordinance 2022-14.
Okay. All right, the next rezoning petition in front of you is a petition from Flat Creek LLC for a property located at 11044 North Marzane Road. The request was to rezone the property from Agricultural 1 to Business 3. This would allow for the continuation of a historic business use of that property on the corner there of the road, to make it a legal conforming use moving forward for the new potential usage from Flat Creek from the previous owner. The Plan Commission at the public hearing made a do pass recommendation for this petition to move forward with the B3 zoning. The specific vote was 8 in favor and 1 opposed.
Anybody in the audience want to speak to this? Is it okay if they come forward?
Yeah, please.
Okay.
My name is Jeff Shelton. My wife and I, Jill, are the owners of Flat Creek LLC. This is the property that's in question. We bought this property knowing that it was a 40-year business with about 185 used lawnmowers on it, and we cleaned it all up, got it in good order, made it look reputable, and we would like to run our Flat Creek business out of there. We make hay, make maple syrup, we mow grass, we do a variety of things, and so we would use it as our Flat Creek World headquarters, is our plan, and we're excited for the opportunity. We think it's a continued use of the business property that's been there for 40 years, and we think it's in good hands, and we'll do our very best to be reputable with it. Questions?
Can the business operate with the current zoning since it's been a business?
So the previous business was a home-based occupation. So the person that operated it lived in the house next to the business building. So it fell under that ordinance or discussion point for home occupation. With the new usage and ownership, that is not the case. So it would require business 3 zoning or something similar to that to be done to allow that to happen. That was one of the reasons for looking at that and just the historic precedence of the land use on that property.
So how many buildings currently are on the premises as
It is,
I see the Circle Drive coming on the county road and on the Marzane? So that's the only building. The house to the north is
it's not, yeah,
I own it.
not part of the parcel you're discussing.
there are 3 parcels there, only the corner parcel is requested for rezoning.
Michael, is Mr. Shelton aware of our interest in looking at the intersection of Marzane, 11th up north, as a potential safety project?
No,
Okay.
and that would be a conversation to be had.
So,
Thanks, Jeff. I think there's somebody in the back that wanted to speak to the discussion here.
Thank you, Jeff.
Hi, my name's Bruce Johnson, and about the only thing I want to make a comment on is, does the commission have copies or have read the comments that were, Lisa McCormick was so kind to, I passed them on to her as an email, and I just want to make sure that that was read, and also a copy of the petition by the 43 people that signed it. If someone wanted a hard copy and couldn't, their computer crashed, I have copies with me. And that's about all I wanted to say.
I did receive that. Appreciate that, from Lisa.
Thank you.
If the petition is denied, Mike, can they reapply for it? And how long would it have to wait?
So there is a cooling off period. It's not something I have off the top of my head, but it's usually like a period of a time of a year, unless if there's something significant in change. So I have to review that before I'd be able to answer that in full.
Conversation this morning, Barbara's here by chance. Wasn't expecting you to come, but thank you for doing that. The county commissioners and Allen County, I think with Chad Klein and the economic development team, put together something with regarding a study.
Well, we have a master
Master plan
plan.
is in essence.
That intersection is at the very end of our plan. I'd be curious to know about the safety thing you're talking about, your engineers talking about that intersection.
Hey, can she move up to the mic so I can hear?
I didn't expect this either. So our master plan goes to that intersection from Zanesville south. And so we don't really have an issue with the zoning request, but I was interested in what the engineer, or the highway engineer, said about the project you had.
Right.
Mentioned.
With what they've done so far with the plan, have they set aside residential, industrial, commercial spaces for your plan of the town and growth?
It's
north
pretty
of-
much
to
the
Annapolis Road
same,
interchange?
it's pretty much the Wells County Plan Commission. We pretty much stayed with their land use. We haven't really done much past the town. And a lot of our planning is more north because of Allen County's movement north. So, and I checked with our master plan people, and they don't have an issue with it changing zoning right now. But thank
you.
you for asking
Well,
earlier.
I mean, we had a lot of people giving us feedback, and that's why I wanted to reach out, and some not so favorable, and some favorable, so I need to weigh the option, because for me, what I remember as I was younger was the Randy McLean rezoning on State Road 1 to an automobile, and that took a lot of time. I don't know if you were on mic for that or not, but that was quite a
On
discussion.
behalf of the steering committee, we appreciate you asking me about that.
You're welcome. Glad to do that.
Oh,
Jeff, you have any comments, discussion points?
Again, I was at this meeting, I listened to both sides. Again, it's been a business for 40-plus years. I don't know how the zoning worked back then, but I'm surprised it wasn't rezoned back then. I do know the Sheltons, I think they're going to do just fine with it. Whatever improvements need to be done will be done for whatever usage they have, so I'm 100% behind it. I'll even make that motion that we approve it as per the APC. The APC reviewed it, I believe last Thursday or the Thursday before, and passed it all except for one person. So I think we uphold their decision and approve it through the commissioners.
I support it from the standpoint of it's been a business, but why it can't stay a business using the proper zoning, I've got a problem with that. For me, I come back to spot zoning. I mean, the closest business zoned property is back in the city of Zanesville. To have something zoned specifically for a designation, I have a tough time with that one. It's not that it's not going to be something good and beneficial, whatever. I mean, it's really a tough call for me because of just picking something out. I mean, if the operation could operate because it was a business and the zoning can stay the same, and but I would like to have really the regulation or whatever from whatever entity, because the house isn't going to be there, but he said there was a house,
The house will be
not
owned,
on the
not,
property.
yeah, so the house is on a separate piece of ground and will not be, well, it will not, in the current status, will not be occupied by the person that is running the business. So that is what a home occupation allows. So if you have a home on your property and you start a business on your property, you have a home-based business or home occupation. If you don't have a home on your property, then you are a standalone business. Now, the agricultural zoning district does allow for some businesses, mostly agricultural-based, but that does not allow for the items that were being requested. When we started this process, there was a list of potential uses that they emailed to us. We reviewed those and stated that the most viable zoning district was B3. One of the other reasons for the support we put forth from our office before the meeting was because of Marzane Road and the history of it being a former state road and a major highway made it more reasonable location for a business to be located at than just a random space in the county.
So once it's zoned, it's always zoned. There's no going back, correct? Unless,
Changed at any time.
but only brought up by the petitioner, correct? The owner.
No. So any jurisdiction, so the county commissioners could request a rezoning, the plan commission can request a rezoning, or the property owner can. So there's opportunities. There's also, so one of the things that came out later in that meeting as a discussion about looking at ways to incorporate more business-type opportunities in the agricultural zoning district. But that obviously will take ordinance changes to make that happen. So the comprehensive plan, as it's being, was amended from last meeting, now includes language to support an investigation into options to open that door a little bit to see what types of businesses could be allowed in business or in ag zoning, or is there an ag business zoning that is a little bit more not city as far as the classifications go? That could be looked at in the future.
My understanding is correctly that if we approve this, that zoning is there now until we either decide to make a change or the petitioner did.
Correct. Yes.
So,
So it has to go through the public hearing process as this did to have it changed.
so if there were, let's say, he decides to sell this property and then someone else comes in with a different business idea, we could then say, we need to take another look at this.
That could be in a time or conversation, or somebody might come in and say, you know what, we want to look at a different type of business opportunity there. It could spur something, a discussion of that. Or there could be other growth decisions made in the Zanesville-Markle area that could lead to kind of a master review of that area.
Again, I'm all for growth. I just, to give the zoning something that's a standalone spot zoning, I struggle with that.
So if a home-based business was in a location, let's say, and it was zoned the A1, is that correct?
Yeah,
For home-based
that's-
business?
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, home-based business can be in any zoning district.
Okay.
But yes, in this case, it was in agriculture.
And that business grew or prospered or was doing well or changed nature or whatever, then it would be appropriate to not be called a home-based business anymore in this regards, because there's no home there at the
Right.
same space. Okay. And then that's the reason the B3 was changed.
Correct.
And hey, Mike, in your conversation on that Thursday, you also talked that at some point we need to actually look at what Mike just brought up, where people have outgrown and they're actually operating large businesses out of home bases, and some of those need to actually be looked at through the county. Is that correct?
Yes, that was part of the discussion and one of the reasons why we've added that into the comp plan.
Thanks.
Has this passed or met all the legal requirements and everything that the county has laid out over the years?
I believe that it is paid reasonable regard to the items set forth in Indiana code.
Excuse me, I have a question. Are there advantages to the changing of that zoning? Are there advantages for Shelton's changing it to a business zoning
Yeah,
as opposed to agriculture?
so the business zoning would allow for multiple business types of uses to occur on that property, which would give them more flexibility in how the property would be used long-term as it is moving into a business, whether it's retail or office or whatever potential use would occur.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions, comments?
I guess it comes down to me. Mike you had a motion, correct, Mike, supporting?
Jeff?
I made a motion.
Wait a second. Yeah, he has a motion on the floor right now.
Wow, this is the toughest one I've done in 10 years. Because everything tells me I should be voting no because of 43 people that spoke up. But I know Jeff. I know the dealings he's done in the community and things like this. So, you know, I have to take this and I weigh it in the balance. And what is the right way and what is the wrong way? That's why I said a prayer before I came up, just trying to figure out what I should do. And I really, I'm just torn. I really am. So,
Well, you
as
know,
much as I want to say yes, I have to say no. I'll just put it that way.
my comment would be this, you know, we are a land of laws, and that is well established. There is a process which this county has gone through to allow these kind of things, and that's been followed. Then I feel that that should be continued to be followed. We can't just, despite a petition, and those voices are heard, we've read it, we've looked at it, I can't find anything in the code or law that would compel me to say no. I just don't see it. And it's very important that in this republic, we don't just decide to take certain people's rights away through popular opinion, despite what anyone may think. We need to preserve that. So if you're telling me it's checked all the boxes, and it's been there, then I would second the motion on the floor.
Michael Vanover,
Aye.
Blake Rivers,
Nay?
Jeff Stringer.
Aye.
Motion passes 2-1. That is ordinance 2022-15.
Okay, all right.
2022-15.
Correct.
Yep. So you get signatures.
I sure can.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
What else are we missing, Lisa?
The only thing left was miscellaneous business, and we added the 911 consolidation. I don't know if you wanted to discuss anything about that.
And 911 consolidation is still sitting the same right now. We're in negotiations with the city, trying to get more county collaboration. That's the spirit of this, and to provide top-notch dispatch services, which I think we're getting. But again, there are other voices that want to be heard out here in the community, and I think in the spirit of working together, it's something that needs to happen. But I think we're very, very close, and I expect some news on that probably by next meeting. Anything else?
Audience?
Colin? Blake?
Nothing else?
Lisa? Holly? Okay. Take a motion to adjourn. No, sir, go ahead.
Just a brief question after reading some of the last meeting. I'm Robert Park, by the way.
Let's see you again.
Robert Park?
Say your name again?
Robert Park.
Robert Park.
Yeah. And I noticed in the paper that I wasn't able to make the last meeting. You did make an approval to do a study on the Austin bypass and requested, I believe it's about $47,000, I believe.
Well, it's a State Road 1
Yes.
expansion study is what it is.
Yeah,
So not
okay.
necessarily
The
a bypass at all.
That word was never
Okay.
brought up in the meeting.
And see, that's what it says.
Uh-huh, and it was never in it.
So that's the reason I asked, because is it going to involve more study than just Highway 1? Is it going to involve something like 450 improvement, 300 improvement, that will be based on economics?
The focus is State Road 1 and the options available to that highway.
Economic growth potential for Bluffton and Ossian and any area in between it, economic. That's the specific economic potential.
So good, bad, or ugly, that's what they're looking at, and they're going to just give us a very realistic idea of what the ramifications will
I
be.
wanted to make sure that it wasn't specifically, let's just look at Highway 1.
Well, I'm sure it's going to include that.
It will include, but not exempt 450 and 300.
We'll have to bring that up to the committee.
Okay.
Chad Klein leads that group.
Okay. I would like to see that included, so if you talk to them to include.
Contact Chad. Hudden Group is a group that's, I think it's in the article
Okay.
that was awarded. So he can give you anything and everything. It's
Okay, I will do that. Okay, thank you very much.
Yes, sir, thank you. That'll accept a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Seconded.
Favor aye?
Aye.
Roll call.
Michael Vanover,
Aye.
Blaine Gerber.
Aye.
Jeff Stringer.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.